Hello there, this is a demo presentation of our school management database system that is available for use in schools. So in this video, we are going to dive right in there to see how this newest version of our application actually works. Without not much ado, if you have not subscribed, kindly turn on the little bell, kindly subscribe and then also turn on the little bell notification icon so that you won't miss any of our videos. Okay, so let us get right into it. So here I double click to launch the system. Okay, so here we have the splash screen here. Alright, so immediately the splash screen finishes loading, there comes the log school window. Before we get on, I would like to pass on a quick disclaimer that this demo video is using a fictitious data throughout, and the data does not represent any real individuals or institutions. Okay, so now here I have created a dummy school data text academy. So let us double click to enter. All right, so here this is where we select who we are logging in as in the school. Are we logging in as administrator, accountant, headmaster, or probably a teacher? So for the sake of this demo video, because the administrator has access to all models or features in the system, let us go on to log in as an admin. All right, so here I click. Okay, so now who am I? I need to pass in my login credentials to authenticate my validity of access into the system. So here I'll go on to select myself and then also enter my username and then password. Okay, so here it tells us that the login details, some of them are incorrect, so let me enter the okay, so it's now successful. We hit OK and we are right in here. Okay, I'm going to log out and then log in again to explain how to go about resetting your password also. So I click here. Now administrator. So in case you are a user, you have forgotten your password, we also have here this quick model that or feature that you can use to reset your password. So you click forgot password. Now just to make sure that indeed you have an account in the system, you select your telephone number. Okay, so registering, every user has a security question that she will have to provide us with the answer. So let's say, all right, this is incorrect. So before you can reset your password, you are required to provide the accurate answer to this question that you were made to answer prior to registration. In a case whereby this detail is not or cannot be obtained, you have probably forgotten, then you will have to reach out to the administrator of your school for a password reset. All right, so now let's cancel. Then let us log in again. Okay, all right, so put in all our details requested, we hit login. Hello Akos. All right, so here we welcome. Now we have been brought to, or we have been welcomed to the home page or the dashboard of the school management system. Okay, so whoever that logs in into the system, the person's name will show up here, and whatever be that activity that you do in the system, being a transaction, admission, or record keeping, everything is going to go against your name, which is an enhanced and a very useful model as far as finances are actually concerned. Okay. So now here we have admission model, student classes, we have staff members, user account. We also have the SMS alert system, admission bills, fining, student department, payroll. So for instance, we go to classes. Now here we have some few classes out there. So these are the classes. Once you select a class, it shows you the details of the class. If you want to get a class list, you can hit this print button here. So once you hit print button, it's supposed to give us, provided they are student registered in the class, their list will actually pop up here. So for instance, basic 1A, if I hit print, here it gives us a list of all the students that are currently registered under that class. Okay, so how do we add a class? To add a class, you click in here, add. Now, what is the class code? So let's say 6767B7. or 670, yeah, anything. So you just need to make sure that you have class code, but it's advisable that you keep to you have a uniform approach to your class code entry. Then what is the class code? So let's say class code is basic 7. Okay, so basic 7 probably. Then once we add this, if there's these are the teachers or the staff members available in the school, so if there is any of them that is assigned to this class, then you go ahead to select. So for instance, let's suppose that Charles Donko is assigned class teacher to this class. Okay, we add this, we go to save, and now it tells us that our class has successfully been added up. Okay, so that is how to add class, view classes, and then also generate class list. All right, so similarly, we also have department out here. So when you go to department, so for instance, here we have account, we have administration, junior high, kitchen, preschool, and then you can also add any number of departments or however you want to structure your department. Okay, so for instance, if I select primary, so here it shows me all staff members that we have in the primary department. So staff members that we have in primary department. So once we double click, for instance, if you want to visit the profile of this staff, we simply go ahead to double click the name, and then it leads us to their profile respectively. Okay, so if you also want to print a list of the staff members that have been registered to a department, then you go ahead to click print, and then that gives you a report showcasing or listing the staff members registered in a particular department. Okay, so for instance, if you want to add a department, so let's say we are going to add a department called transport, so I go to add. Now I will say TR, so TRP, department title is transport. So transport department master. So here too we have your staff members that you can assign as department masters. So for instance, let's suppose it is now. Then which type of department have we created? This is a non-academic department. Okay, so once we add this up, we go to save, and now the department has been added. Yes, so now we can see that we go to search department transportation. Okay, now let us also dive into look at the students. So when you go into students, so for instance, if you want to add a student, you go to add. So let us add a new student. Let's say we are going to add a student called Bernice. So say Bernice A. Tete. So this is a female, for instance. The date of birth, let's say, is 12th of November 2010. Okay, so it tells us that this is a 15-year-old child. Then what is the region? So let's say the region is Eastern. Address, let's say, is Kaswa, Ghana. Religion, let's suppose, is Islamic. Then the class, so I am going on to assign this student to basic 7. Then also class code will be this class code. Okay, basic 7 is in primary department, so here I will enter the department code primary. Alright, so what is the SMS contact for SMS? If it is available, you go ahead to enter. Then also index number, so let's say suppose the index number of this child is that. Now it is also possible for the index number to be generated automatically for the system. However, if you prefer to add your own index numbers, so you have your own index numbers in place, you can also add that straight away. Okay, so here we have the parents. So once you click here, we have the list of parents here. For instance, let's say the parents mother here is Charity. You select Charity. What about father? Let's say Ivan Stete. Now, provided you want to add a parent, you click this small little icon here. Now, so mother name, for instance, let's say the mother name is Esther. Let's say Donko. Okay. Profession is a teacher. Workplace, so workplace location, let's say is Kaswa. Place of abode, let's say is Kaswa. So what's the telephone? Let's say 0. Okay. Now we also have email address if it is possible, if it is available. You go ahead to also provide all these details. Any of these details available, you provide them as requested. You go to submit data. Afterwards, then it tells us that the data has been submitted successfully. Okay, so now here if I click, we should be able to also see the very data that we actually added up here. So let me go ahead to save this data. Now once we click, so here we see Esther Donko. and then the father. So similarly, we can also click here to add the father's records as well. Okay, so what about the guardian? So let's say the guardian is Jacob Insia. So relationship type, let's say is uncle. Then does the child pick up a bus? So let's say it's yes, then pick up person. So let's say it's me. Or you can also add the name here appropriately. All right, now we go to other information. So you can also add these details where as provided they are available. Then one most important thing has to do with the bills or the fees. So what will be the terminal or the semester fees of this particular child? Let's say it is supposed to be 2,000. Okay, so now if the child has a full scholarship, you go ahead to select full scholarship. Then once you save this, it means that this child is not going to be billed in the school. He's on some kind of a scholarship or a benefit. So when you click scholarship list, we're supposed to see the list of all the students that are currently having a scholarship or some form of sponsorship in the school. Now let's suppose that this child, instead of the full amount, needs to pay only the partial. We go to partial. Now partial means they're going to pay approximately half or exactly half of the amount listed here. So in that case too, we save, and then once we go to scholarship list, it tells us that hey, this child has a scholarship and this is the amount of scholarship that he or she is having. Okay, so now that we are done, you can also insert a photograph for this child by double clicking and then browsing to where the photo of a child is, and you add that up appropriately. Also, we can click profile print, and then that gives us a profile with the information of the child that we can actually print out. So we can click here, and once we click, it gives us a very beautiful report having the watermark of our school beneath it as well. Okay, so now if you're looking for a student quickly, what you can do is to go to find students. So once you go to find students, you have a list of students here. So for instance, if I'm looking for Benis, I will just type Benis, and Benis appears out here correctly. You clear. So this is a search as you go model. So if I'm looking for Gido, I type Gido, and then Gido comes up here. Now this search model or this search feature is somewhat faster than what we had been using previously in our system. Okay, so without not much we do, now we are diving in to look at also how the school fees model of the database actually works. Okay, so for school fees, we go to school fees. So it's the start of a semester and you want to bill our students. So what we do is we go to billing. So before we go to billing, quickly let us go over all the various models that we have listed here in the school fees. So we have billing, collecting fees, and transactions. So this helps you to get a report of your transactions or your incoming fees. You can also create paper reminders for children to be sent home. Then you can also generate one very important business document here, which is called profit and loss statement, and the student balance. We also have inventory and a field type. Okay, for the sake of for this demo video, we might not be able to navigate through or explore all these features. But then for billing, collecting fees, and then the part that has to do with transaction reports, reminders, let us look at how this works. So go to billing. Okay, so now the billing, we are going to bill all our students. So what we do is once we click search, it gives us all the terms that we have, but then it's a new term. So we go to new. What is the term title? So we say term 3 2024 2025. Now when is the term starting? So it's starting today, and when is it ending? So let's say it's ending in 3 months time. So this is a term. Now we go ahead to click save updates, and then the term becomes added to our database. So we are going to submit bills of students for this term. So we go to search term 3. Now it tells us that this is the total amount of bills that is going to be submitted upon going ahead. So we go ahead to click submit bills. Do you want to submit bill for students in data sheet for the term? Yes, of course. So we click that. Yes, and now the billing has successfully been done for our student. Okay, so here we click close. Now if we want to have a report of the balances of the student, we go to student balance here. So once we go to student balance, it tells us that, hey, the total bill is 13,900 Ghana cedis, and then these are the students, and then also, yeah, so these are the students, a breakdown of the students. So it's going to give you per classes, and you get a class total, and then also you get the grand total. Okay, so if you want to export this data to Excel, it's also possible, or any other file format. You go ahead to click export. Okay, so once you click export, for instance, if suppose you want to export it to Excel, we go to Excel, we choose the Excel extension. Now we select a suitable location, make sure auto start is selected. So we go to OK. Have our data exported beautifully to Excel as well. Okay, so now here we can also print this. So you can print this by selecting your printers, hitting OK, you are good to go. Export, also one important thing I won't deny, I cannot afford to miss out, is the PDF. Yeah, you can also export your data here to PDF. So for instance, if I want PDF of this report, I select PDF format, I go to OK. Now I hit OK here. And now here we have our data neatly generated as a PDF file for us. Okay, so now having taken school fees, how do you collect school fees? So to collect school fees, you go to find students. That is the quickest way of collecting school fees. So let's say, for instance, I want to collect for favor. We select favor. We go to fees. Now it tells us that favor is owing 860. So we are going to pay for school fees. What is the term? So let's say it's this term. Or we can create additional terms. So let's say, for instance, a third term 2025. Okay, so we set it as the default, and now we hit OK. Amount, let's say she is paying 500. Now we click refresh, or you can also go ahead to click save. Okay, so here the balance has been reduced, and then we can also hit print to get a very beautiful report that the system generates after the payment. Okay, so this gives us the receipt of the payment that a child made, and on the receipt, the receiver, which is a person that the user that has logged in or logged in to take the fee, will also pop up right in here. Okay, so let's suppose a different child comes to make payments. We click, let's say Rolamte, we click that. Now what is the category? Let's say school fees. So amount, let's say the amount is 450. We click refresh. Now we can hit received right in here, and let's print preview to see our receipt. Yeah. Now let's suppose that this child additionally makes a different payment. So we go to new. Now she pays, let's say PDA, for instance, let's say paid 130. We refresh here. Now once we hit receipts, it is going to give us the receipt is going to include or have on it all transactions that a child makes for that particular day. Okay, so just as when we go to banks, we are able to also request for statement that shows us how money going to and fro from our accounts have been. So once we want to generate a statement, we click statements, and this gives us a historical recording of all the transactions that have been made in the name of this particular child. So it tells us the grand sum is this, and this is the breakdown. So we can also export this similarly to PDF, or we can also email it out we can also print it out. Okay, so if you want to create a reminder to remind a parent of this child about this bill, we simply go to reminder, and now here we have the reminder printed that we can print out for the child. Okay, so supposing we wish to change the message on this reminder form, we simply go to edit the message, and we can put out our message of interest here, and once we click save, it will be updated also right here for us. Now, okay, so how about if you want to, let's say it's the end of the day and you want to see how much you've made for a particular date, you go to daily transactions, you put in the date. So for instance, I want for today, then I'll go to show transactions, and this gives me a report of all the transactions or earnings that have actually been made for that particular day. Okay, now suppose you want to remind or create reminders for all students. You go to school fees again, create reminders. Now you type in our message, then we go to generate. And this is going to generate reminder for every child that is owing in our school. So every child that owes in our school is going to get a reminder here beautifully. Okay, so enough of this. Now how about transactions? So transaction helps you to get a reporting of incoming fees or reporting of your transaction between dates. So once you click, you input the start date and the end date, and let's say the end date is up to today. We hit view, and that will give us between these two dates. It could be weekly, monthly, yearly, decades, or a report of all transactions that came through between that specified dates here. Okay, so again, we also have admissions. So for instance, for the admission, we start from department because when students are admitted into department, they they have to be billed. So the admission billing can be done department-wise or class-wise. So for instance, primary, we go to set admission fee. So here it tells us this is admission breakdown of students in primary department. This is the total. So every child that will be admitted into primary will have this as a bill. So let us also try it out and see. So we go to admission. Now we don't have any admission record. So let's say for this student first name, let's say first name is Yusuf. So Yusuf Amana is a male. Birthday, let's say it's 23rd of June. Let's say it's 2012. Now, what is the previous school? So let's say it's Lagos Academy or any other school. So we can delete this one. So let's say the previous school is Maryland Academy. Then we add it up here neatly. So Maryland, reason for leaving, none. Then what is the class? We are assigning him to basic 7 as well. What is the region? Central. Residential address. So let's say it's Kaswa. Okay, so now what is the mother and the father? If they are not available, we leave them at default. Then once we are done, we click save, and now the record has been saved. Now this child is being admitted to primary, so the department code, we change it to primary, and there we go. Okay, so to get admission report, you go to admission report, and then this is the reports of the admission details that have been entered. Okay, so now for us to bill, we take note of this reference ID. So I will copy it for safekeeping. Then I'll go to bills or payments. I will enter this ID. Then I'll submit the bills. Then I'll go to payment. Okay, so here it tells us that this child is owing 3,076.40. So suppose it's paying 3,000. How is he paying? Is it by cash? Then we go to done. Okay, so after making the payment, here we click receipt again, and this also gives us a receipt bearing the balance and the amount that have been paid, and some pretty much good information out there that can also be customized. So let's preview to see how the receipt looks like. Okay, so this is the receipt of the transaction. Okay, so now let me synchronize this database. So we can go to the dashboard. So once we go to dashboard, here it gives us a summary of all that have been going on in the system. So total expenditure is this, total income is this, admission earnings is that. Then also we have this kind of pretty much good information out here. Okay, so we have expenditure. So you go to expenditure. Here, for instance, I go to add amount, let's say it's 1,000. Payment category, let's say it's club expenses. Then once I go to save, it comes out here. Let me add one more. So let's say it's 130. Payment category, let's say it's fuel. I'll save. So anytime you hit full report, this is a reporting of all your expenses in the database here. You can also export this data out of the confinement of Microsoft Access as usual. Okay, so now we can also let us now explore the payroll. So for payroll, you start with your staff members. You make sure that every staff member's information is recorded neatly here. So for instance, let me go to add, and this person is a Mr. So let's say it's Mary. Mary Asare. So gender is a male. Birth date, let's say it's 23rd of November. Let's say it's 1991. Marital status is married. Dependent, let's say it's 2. Role, let's say it's a teacher. Qualification, let's say it's this. Location, region, let's say region is central. Nationality Ghanaian. Town, let's say it's Kaswa. Then now let's suppose that the relationship is so any emergency person, if the emergency person is available, we provide that and you select the relationship. Contact details, so when is the person starting job? Let's say it's started last year somewhere. Then assign class, we are assigning him to basic 7 as well. Now the department, so this is going to be primary department. Okay, so also we provide the contact details and the religion. Let's say religion is Islamic. You go to okay, now cash records. Okay, so is this person going to pay SNIT? So SNIT is since it's a title for the social welfare tax that Ghanaian employees pay. So if this person pays SNIT, you select yes. Then what is the basic salary? So let's say basic salary is 4,000. You select 4,000. It tells you that the SNIT tax is 220. What is the payee? Let's say payee is 12.2. Now, is there any loan deduction? None. Then we can go to bank and ID this information. So what is the bank? Let's say the bank of this person is Snappy. Then we add the account number neatly add here. Then we click refresh. Okay, so we save this information. Now, this information has been saved and we can add any document of this person, or we can also add a profile picture. Once we go to print, we get a report of this person's details. Okay, so now let us add the salary. We have the salary here, so let's see finally how to go about payroll. So we go to payroll. Now we go to pay salaries. So these are our staff members and their salaries. So once we for instance, we want to pay for January 2025, so February, so I will go ahead to change this date. Okay, so let me select February. Okay, so February now. So now, sorry, it's supposed to be 02. Okay, now we go to pay salary now. So we are going to make payment for February 2024. We go to yes, 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 and the payment have been done. So we go to reports. So right here in reports, I select February pay slips. And this is supposed to give us, this gives us the pay slip of all the employees that we have paid so far, or all the staff members that have been paid so far. Yeah, so we can also hit the payroll, and that gives us the payroll recording for these transactions. Then we can also get the SNIT returns, and that also gives us the returns of our SNIT tier 2. Yes. Okay, so for the sake of this demo video, now we go ahead to click refresh, and then it adds a records to every staff member's profile, which gives us the historical transactions or tracking of salaries that have been made to this staff member. Okay, so for the sake of this video, it has been, the intent was to make it so quick. If you have any further inquiries to make, do not hesitate to put it in the comment section, or email or WhatsApp me, and then we can also take it further to have a discussion on how you can have this system set up or customized in any way for your school. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. See you in the next video.